22-year-old man guilty of murdering an off-duty police community support officer. Julia James was walking her dog in Kent in April last year when she was attacked. Her killer, Callum Wheeler, was seen roaming the countryside hours after her murder.
It's very difficult. But we needed to see Callum Wheeler in that room and for him to be stood and be held accountable.
The data from Julia's smartwatch was used to convict Wheeler, who offered no explanation for his crime. Also tonight. Boris Johnson met with protests as he arrives in Belfast for Brexit crisis talks, with Stormont still in deadlock. Blackpool's Jake Daniels comes out as Britain's first openly gay male professional footballer in 30 years.
I just want to get it all out and just people to hear my story. Everyone's just been so supportive and so proud of me.
Could our energy bills go up 4 times a year? The regulator reviews the price cap and...
Oh, we've got a couple of new students as well.
Oh my God! These Soccer Aid stars surprising school kids ahead of the big match.
This is the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. The man who murdered police community support officer Julia James is tonight facing a life sentence after being found guilty of beating her to death. 22-year-old Callum Wheeler ambushed the off-duty officer as she walked her dogs in woods close to her home in Kent. There's still no apparent motive for what Wheeler did, and he had no connection to the 53-year-old. Well, the jury took just over an hour to return their verdict. A warning, Sangeeta Lau's report contains some distressing details.
She always hoped to help others. A caring police community support officer beaten to death by a man described as a violent killer, waiting to ambush the next woman he saw.
You're under arrest on suspicion of murder. Why? Julia James. I haven't done it. You were in the area acting suspiciously during the time of the offence.
Callum Wheeler always denied he murdered Julia James, but that was something today the jury didn't believe. Her family wept as the guilty verdict was handed to Wheeler.
I can't explain how much I love her. You have to feel that. You can't tell that in words. This guy's took it away from us. But she'll never leave me. She'll never go from any of us.
Julia was murdered in woods near her home in April last year. A huge police investigation helped officers retrace her last steps. On the day she died, Julia left her home just after 2 o'clock to walk her dog in the fields nearby. So remote there were no witnesses, but crucially, Julia's smartwatch tracked her route. It also tracked her heart rate as it increased here, where prosecution say is the moment she saw Wheeler, from 97 beats per minute to 145 beats per minute here within 20 seconds as she tried to run away, but he caught up with her. Wheeler then repeatedly beat her over the head with this metal railway jack that weighed around 3 kilograms. He caused catastrophic injuries to the mother of 2.
Honestly, it's surreal. It's been like an out-of-body experience sometimes to be hearing these awful things and it to be your mum. It's very difficult. But we needed to see Callum Wheeler in that room and for him to be stood and be held accountable for what it is that he's done.
The jury heard how Wheeler had warned officers he'd attack again.
Oh, mate, what are you up to?
Caught by residents walking near to the scene the day after the attack, still carrying the murder weapon in his bag. He was a loner, described in court today, who prowled woodland to find his victim Julia James, who devoted her life to protecting others.
Now, this has been a traumatic trial, not just for the family of Julia James, but her colleagues too. She was a PCSO with Kent Police, officers who've now had to investigate the murder of their friend. And what really helped during that investigation was how often Callum Wheeler had been seen near the area of where he was to attack Julia months before he did it, even by Julia herself, and she pointed him out to her husband. Well, today He was described as someone who was always quite odd, but found guilty of murder. And Julia's family say they are thankful they have justice for her, but that no one will ever understand what Wheeler took from them.
All right, Sangeeta, thank you. The Prime Minister is in Belfast tonight trying to break the political deadlock preventing the formation of Northern Ireland's government. The Democratic Unionists are refusing to join the power-sharing executive in a row over the Northern Ireland Protocol. After Brexit, the protocol was designed to avoid a north-south border on the island of Ireland, but it effectively created an east-west border in the Irish Sea, and it's imposing extra costs on trade, leading to concerns Northern Ireland is suffering unfairly. Well, the UK government wants to make a number of changes to the protocol, including scrapping checks on goods heading from Britain to Northern Ireland. But the EU and Sinn Féin, now the country's biggest party, don't agree. From there, our deputy political editor, Anushka Stana, reports.
It wasn't a warm welcome for Boris Johnson, arriving for political talks in Northern Ireland, where the question of the protocol looms large. These protesters are desperate to protect the EU-UK deal, but however it's dressed up, many unionists want it gone. And that's causing another big problem. Sinn Féin was the biggest party in recent elections.
What will you be saying to Boris Johnson?
That we want the executive up and running.
And wants to put in place its First Minister. But the Stormont Assembly cannot function because the Democratic Unionist Party will only engage if the protocol is overhauled. After the meetings, the Prime Minister headed to a local factory, saying all 5 political parties wanted some reform of the protocol.
We would love this to be done in a consensual way with our friends and partners, ironing out the problems, stopping some of these barriers east-west. But to get that done, to have the insurance, we need to proceed with a legislative solution at the same time.
The threat of that legislative solution that would unilaterally override parts of the protocol is part of why Sinn Féin emerged from talks with this very different perspective.
It's very clear to us that despite all of the rhetoric from the British government about re-establishing the executive here in the north, that in fact their priority is placating the DUP.
You sound furious. How heated was the meeting?
Well, look, it was a lively meeting. Was it heated? Tough, I think, is the word. I mean, we're not here to beat around the bush or to try and sugarcoat anything. This is a very serious situation.
They said it was scandalous and shameful that the executive was not up and running given the cost of living crisis facing Northern Ireland. But the DUP leader said his party couldn't take its seats, including as Deputy First Minister, while the protocol remained in place.
Power sharing in Northern Ireland can only operate on the basis of consensus. There isn't a single member of the Assembly elected in the recent elections who supports the protocol, and we cannot go on like this.
But during a cost of living crisis that is driving up numbers at food banks like this one in nearby Lisbon, the CEO says businesses may see the day-to-day effects of the protocol, but families do not.
They see the effect of their rising fuel bills, of there being no bus service, of the waiting lists for health. It's a struggle for people to understand why they won't just get in and get to work.
With parents telling volunteers here they're going hungry to feed their children, political stalemate feels unaffordable.
Well, Anushka is at Hillsborough Castle tonight. Anushka, what is likely to happen next?
Well, what happens next is that Elizabeth Truss, the Foreign Secretary, will make a statement in Parliament tomorrow where she will talk through that legislation that the UK government is proposing, legislation that would allow them to override parts of the protocol unilaterally. Now, I say she'll set it out, but what she won't do is actually lay down that legislation. She'll tell the House of Commons that that is going to happen in a couple of weeks. And to some extent, that is the government stepping back from the brink because they were planning to lay it this week. It allows allows a little bit more time to try and restart the talks. And to some extent, that is what today has felt like as well, an attempt to try to take some of the heat out of this. The Prime Minister began the day with a fairly compromising article in the Belfast Telegraph, and at least some of the people in those meetings today said he used compromising language. The issue is that you saw the reaction outside. Sinn Féin very unhappy, the DUP very unhappy. And what that means for the people of Northern Ireland is that while there is a cost of living crisis, the Stormont Assembly remains in stalemate.
All right, Anushka, thank you. And there's more detail on what this could all mean on our website, itv.com/news. The identities of some of the 10 innocent people shot dead in a racially motivated attack in New York State have been released by authorities. They were all killed by an 18-year-old white supremacist in Buffalo on Saturday afternoon. Aaron Salter was a retired police officer working as a security guard in the grocery store which was attacked. Hayward Patterson often helped drive people to and from the supermarket. Catherine Massey was a community activist. Celestine Cheney was a devoted grandmother. Pearl Young was 77 and volunteered at a local soup kitchen. Roberta Drury had just moved to the city to help her sick brother. 86-year-old Ruth Whitfield had just been to visit her husband in a care home, and Geraldine Talley had been shopping with her fiancé. Questions are now being asked why the killer wasn't stopped. From the city, Robert Moore heard the grief and anger, but also the appeals for calm.
We give glory and honor to you, Father, and our hope is in you. Because
around the site of the massacre, with trauma visible on people's faces,
in the name of Jesus.
Many of those who knew the victims are seeking spiritual help on the streets.
Oh, my Lord.
Roxanne Frazier said she had several friends who were killed in this close-knit African-American neighborhood.
Jesus, Lord God, no matter what is going on. We are going to heal. We are going to recover. Because God said so. We are going to heal in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, glory to God.
On another street corner, Demetrius Burgess was simply praying on the pavement. Her mother had narrowly escaped from the supermarket, and she is haunted by the killer's motives.
I lost my mom up here. All over at once. I can't even process this right now because we don't even know why.
Peyton Gendron was a teenager who had deliberately targeted an area he knew was predominantly African American.
A lot of good white people in the world, but there's still a lot of white people that just don't like us. There's still a lot of people that just don't like us. And they say it's because of the color of our skin. I thought we was past all that. And we're tired of it. We're just tired of it. I'm hoping there's no retaliation, though.
And the age of the suspect is another deeply disturbing feature.
This kid was 18. 5 years ago, he was practically a baby.
Among the victims was 86-year-old Ruth Whitfield, her family grieving today. And their lawyer insisting that the gunman was not a lone wolf, but was empowered by right-wing Republican politicians.
It's these people who are accomplices to this mass murder. And Cliff, even though they may not have pulled the trigger, they did load the gun for this young white supremacist.
We don't look alike, but our blood bleeds the same.
The outpouring of support and unity here since the attack tells us that those seeking to trigger a race war are almost certainly going to fail.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Well, there is also a deeply disturbing British dimension to the violence that occurred here. In that hate-filled manifesto, the gunman also issued direct threats against the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, underlining just how global, how dangerous, how toxic this ideology is of violent white supremacy and far-right violence. Really an extraordinary threat across the Atlantic.
Robert in Buffalo, New York. Thank you. The Swedish government has confirmed it will apply for membership of NATO in response to the invasion of Ukraine. It comes a day after Finland made the same announcement. President Putin has previously warned both countries that joining the security alliance could worsen their relations with Moscow. Meanwhile, McDonald's is permanently leaving Russia after more than 3 decades, also as a consequence of military action in Ukraine. The fast food giant said the humanitarian crisis is creating an unpredictable operating environment. Blackpool footballer Jake Daniels says he hopes to be a role model for other players after coming out as gay. The 17-year-old says he's been hiding who he is and made the announcement with the support of his family, teammates and his club. Well, Martha Fairley is here with more details on this. Martha, this really is a significant moment, isn't it?
Yes, it seems remarkable that we are talking about this now and that the last British male footballer to come out as gay was Justin Fashanu more than 30 years ago in 1990. But now 17-year-old Jake Daniels, who plays for 2nd Division Blackpool, has gone public about his sexuality. This is him scoring a goal against Chelsea in the FA Youth Cup, and he has had a momentous year. He's signed a professional contract, scored 30 goals this season and just made his first team debut in the Championship against Peterborough. But he told Sky Sports this afternoon that he felt that off the pitch he'd been hiding who he was and that coming out was a step into the unknown.
People were saying, why didn't you tell us earlier? Which is quite a good thing, because it just shows that they care. And, you know, the captain, and he was one of the main people I told, and he was just asking loads of questions about it, and he was like, I'm just so proud of you. And, you know, I like when people ask questions. It's like, keep asking more, you know. I just want to get it all out and just people to hear my story. Everyone's just been so supportive and so proud of me, and, you know, it just shows that what a bond we have as a team.
Well, he said he hopes he will encourage other people to come out too. He says if a Premier League footballer came out, then it would be amazing. Blackpool Football Club has issued a statement saying it's incredibly proud he's reached a stage where he's empowered to express himself, both on and off the pitch. And they say it's vital we all promote an environment where people feel comfortable to be themselves, and that football leads the way in removing any form of discrimination and prejudice. And of course, it's also very important for the fans that we now have a visibly gay footballer.
Really is, Martha. Thank you. There's plenty more to come on the ITV Evening News. Could your energy bills soon go up every 3 months? We've got the details of a price cap review. Colleen Rooney tells a court why she suspected Rebecca Vardy of selling stories, and...
It's following us. Go, 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 go.
On the front line in Ukraine's second city, where Russian drones stalk the Ukrainians fighting back. An eyewitness report from Dan Rivers is coming up at 7. We'll be back after this short break.
Boots Advantage card now comes with Price Advantage. It's bursting with exclusive savings on hundreds of products online and in store. Shop now with your Boots Advantage card or sign up in the app and start saving. Boots, with you for life.
So, Money Super 7, what have we got?
I could save people up to £300 on car insurance.
Good start. What else?
I'm on at 8. I'm just catching a lift.
Well, what are you doing chatting to me? Get on with it.
I can save people up to £300 on a new credit card.
Dragging your heels a bit, but not bad. The rest of you keep focused. If we can't save Britain money now, no one can.
Super Save with Money's Supermarket.
This is the way to sell your car. The car dealer's bid to give you up to £1,000 more way. This is the motorway.
Why do teeth need a mineral boost? Every day, minerals can be washed away by acidic foods, weakening enamel. New Pronamel Mineral Boost helps replenish your enamel with vital minerals, which help teeth stay strong, white, and healthy. Give your teeth a mineral boost with Pronamel.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
Technology enables us to do things that we just can't naturally do. That opens up so many possibilities. And when you can fold the impossible into the reality of normal life right now, I think that's what progress is.
When technology enables progress, ESET is here to protect it. ESET Digital Security. Progress protected.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning, Mr. Clark.
Oh, who made my day?
Imagine diabetes without routine finger pricks. With the Freestyle Libre 2 system, you can do it with your phone. See your current glucose level anytime, anywhere. Know where your glucose is heading and set glucose alarms. Revolutionise your diabetes management with the Freestyle Libre 2 system. Order your free 14-day trial.
Let play unwind your mind. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
This is elite level rescuing. Local garages are vying for a coveted place in the Green Flag network. Runcorn repairs fueling up. Salisbury looking nervous. And they're away. What a start from Bexley Autos. Glencoe Garage a stumble and down he goes. Onto the sheet now. Nature's traffic jam. Runcorn out in front, but anything can happen in the fog. Oh, Salisbury stepped up a gear. It's neck and neck. She's going to take it. Sensational repair. Only first-rate rescuers get to join our local breakdown network. Only the best get the Green Flag.
Welcome back. Energy regulator Ofgem has unveiled a controversial plan to tackle the cost of living crisis. It wants to change the energy price cap every 3 months rather than the current 6-monthly update. Well, the watchdog says that will see savings passed on quicker to customers in Britain. But many fear it will just see bills shoot up even quicker, as our consumer editor Chris Choi now reports.
Pensioner Di Skidmore is so worried about rising energy bills, she started a petition aiming to get more help for those struggling to pay, and now it's supported by hundreds of thousands.
How to cut back, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm already living on the lowest level, but I got my bill 2 days ago, and last month, already summertime, haven't had the heating on at all, £73. So my personal bill is twice as much as it was.
The energy price cap limits charges for 23 million households in England, Scotland and Wales. It changes every 6 months in April and October. That would increase to every 3 months. It's now at almost £2,000 a year for an average user, and it's expected to rise. Energy firms have varying views, but this spokesperson says they all want bills to more accurately reflect their costs.
Of course, most energy firms are going to be delighted with this because it gives them the chance to put their bills up more often.
So if it's every 3 months and prices go down, that means prices should come down quicker for customers too.
But nobody's talking about prices going down, are they?
It's really hard to know what's going to happen with wholesale energy prices right now. Moving to a more frequent price cap should mean that the actual price of the commodity is reflected in what people are paying.
Here at Ofgem, we have powers to apply a price cap on energy tariffs.
These plans from the energy regulator Ofgem mean prices could change in January. For some, that's worrying timing.
If it goes in the wrong direction in January, that's right in the middle of winter where we're consuming the most energy units, and therefore the impact of those particular price caps are going to be really strong on customers. And if you don't have time to budget, you don't have time to try and get yourself in the best possible position, it could really hit people hard.
Today's proposals show that how to regulate energy bills is increasingly a big issue for the industry. How to pay is an even bigger one for millions of customers. Chris Choi, ITV News.
A 3-year-old boy has been killed in a suspected dog attack. Police were called to an address in Milrow in Rochdale yesterday afternoon. Yasmin Bottleby is near the scene tonight. Yasmin, what have the police said?
Well, what we now know is that the 3-year-old boy was playing outside with a number of dogs. That was yesterday at around lunchtime. He was found with serious injuries. Paramedics took him to hospital, but he died there a short time later. Now, several dogs have been seized. One has been humanely destroyed. There's been no arrest, but Greater Manchester Police they have a really big presence here, and they are investigating this. Not just this though, they are looking back at a number of previous incidents concerning dogs at the same address. Now, because they've had contact here before, they have referred themselves to the independent body that oversees police complaints. They say that, of course, the family is absolutely devastated, but they're also acknowledging that people in the local area are finding this really difficult as well. And I can vouch for that. I've been here all day talking to people who say that they are really saddened by this, utterly horrified. Now, some of them say that they don't like to walk in that area. One woman even told us that last year she was attacked in the same area. Now, tonight, police are saying that they want to reassure people here that any criminal offence that they find in relation to this incident will be properly dealt with.
Yasmin, thank you. Diesel prices have reached a record average high of more than £1.80 per litre. The RSC has blamed the increase on reduced imports of Russian diesel. The price of the fuel has risen more than 30 pence a litre since February. The Governor of the Bank of England has warned consumers face a potential apocalyptic food price increase. Appearing before MPs, Andrew Bailey said the UK was walking a very narrow path between surging inflation and risks to growth. He said the war in Ukraine was behind the highest inflation jump in 30 years. Judy Murray has said she was sexually assaulted at an awards dinner by a senior executive. She said she felt sick to the stomach after the attack 8 years ago. Colleen Rooney revealed in court today how her amateur detective work led to her identifying Rebecca Vardy as a source of leaks to newspapers. Mrs Rooney described how she used her Instagram account to set a trap. Mrs Vardy denies being the source and is accusing her former friend of libel. From the High Court, here's Chloe Keedy on another day of gripping evidence.
This now daily display of unity between Colleen and Wayne Rooney was enhanced today by their colour-coordinated outfits. Although inside court, she admitted that even her husband had not been party to her secret sleuthing. She was followed into court by a lemon-clad Rebecca Vardy, and the day started with evidence about the moment Rooney had unfollowed her on social media. Rooney said she was suspicious of Vardy, so she lied and told her it must have happened by mistake. But that was a cover-up, she said, for what I was investigating.
The judge listened intently as Colleen Rooney explained in granular detail exactly how Instagram Stories works and how she'd adjusted her settings so that only one other account, Rebecca Vardy's account, could see what she was posting, but it was hidden from everyone else. She said unhiding the posts was much simpler, but blocking, she said, took a bit more time, a bit more concentration.
When one of those posts made its way to the Sun newspaper, Rooney said she chose not to tell them it was untrue. She said she wanted it to run, so she had evidence. The court also heard about the seating arrangements at this Euro 2016 match. Giving evidence, a former ticketing manager said she believed Vardy had made a choice to swap into seats that would position her behind Rooney at the match. Rooney claims Vardy was hungry for fame, but Vardy's lawyer argues that that doesn't mean she was leaking stories about Rooney to the press. He asked Rooney about what happened after she publicly accused Vardy. He said, "She makes it clear to you that it wasn't her, doesn't she?" And Rooney replied, "She says she has zero interest in what's going on in my life, which I believe is totally untrue. She talks about me a lot, so that was a lie." It's Rebecca Vardy who's brought this case to court. Colleen Rooney said today she'd hated every minute of it. Her husband Wayne doesn't look like he's enjoying it too much either. Chloe Keedy, ITV News.
You're watching the ITV Evening News. Here's what's still ahead before Emmerdale. In a moment, an eyewitness report from the front line in Kharkiv as Russian fighters are pushed out of the city. Amber Heard claims in court Johnny Depp frequently hit her despite the actor's denials.
No matter what I did, still hit me.
Passenger turned pilot who safely landed a plane describes how he did it.
I was just looking, going, I can't die today. I've got Bridget's pregnant, I got a baby on the way. Not today.
How this British explorer defied doctors' predictions to break records on Everest.
And there was a rare super blood moon overnight, but most people here would have missed it. Find out why a little later when I'll have the full forecast for the days ahead.
First, as Ukrainian forces push the invading Russians out of Kharkiv, a special eyewitness report from inside the city on those who've been resisting so bravely. The region's governor said today that Russians have been pushed back to their own border. If true, it's testament to the courage of those who survived in Kharkiv, which was besieged for weeks. Our correspondent Dan Rivers journeyed to Ukraine's second city with the soldiers who helped liberate it, and he heard from the residents who defied the odds to defend their homeland.
This is the battle for Kharkiv, as seen by those who fought it.
Выходим, за машину!
The Kraken battalion are taking fire near the village of Ruska Lazova. This previously unseen footage taken last week is a window into a critical operation to reclaim territory from an enemy at the gate of Ukraine's second city. We travelled with the Kraken unit into the same village as Russian artillery continued to hammer what's left. They've come to treat 87-year-old Ivan Gavrilovich. He knows firsthand what razor-sharp shrapnel can do to the human body. As the soldiers patch him up, he tells me how an SS officer nearly killed him in 1941, and now he's survived a Russian onslaught 8 decades later. He shows me his carefully tended vegetable garden, the horticulture punctuated by howitzers, which nearly killed an old man who thought he'd seen it all. Across the street, the remains of a hospital looted by the Russians as they retreated. Their parting gift thankfully didn't detonate. But Ukrainian soldiers are more certain of destroying their targets. This shows a Russian T-90M tank being taken out north of Kharkiv. Its extra armour no match for Western-supplied anti-tank weapons, which are proving decisive. Normally, an invading army tries to secure bridges as it advances, but here the Russians were forced to blow one up as they fled. We travel along the deserted ring road, which marks the extent of the Russian advance. Their military misadventure here is plain to see.
И когда колонну разбивают, бывает такое, что даже остатков тела нету, потому что просто сгорает все дотла.
Drone! Drone! Then suddenly we spot a drone above the road and warn the Ukrainian soldiers.
Drone! Drone! Drone!
Russia frequently uses them to convey real-time information to pinpoint artillery and rocket attacks. Shooting them down is not easy. Our route out is blocked by an operation to put out a fire at the side of the road. Finally, we're able to leave the area, but the drone now appears to be tracking our vehicles. It's following us. Go, 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 go. Go! A few hundred metres on, we stop and see the fire brigade are leaving in haste, knowing they too could be targets. The drone is still hovering over there, and the soldiers appear to be trying to shoot it down. But that's a strategic crossroads on the ring road that goes all the way around the north of Kharkiv. And it wouldn't be surprising if the Russians are trying to assess the Ukrainian city. You see a lot of cars now fleeing back into town. These days, the centre of Kharkiv is much safer than its northern suburbs, but it still bears the scars of almost 3 months of siege. A city which stood firm even when almost encircled. The price of resistance extracted by Russian missiles is astonishing in some streets, but nowhere paid a higher price than Saltivka. The blocks of flats here face a front line which is still active, forcing the few who remain underground.
Сегодня ночью, да? Сегодня, прошлой ночью это вообще кошмар. Раза 5 или 6.
The mayor says 30% of residential buildings have been damaged in this city, most hit by Russian munitions, but some struck by the Ukrainians to force the invaders back. This is a potent symbol of Ukrainian resistance here in Kharkiv. When the Ukrainians found out that a Russian special forces unit was hiding out in this school building, they unleashed all the firepower they had. And this was the result. We find a young doctor making a video for colleagues who've seen the worst of this war. A love song to a city which survived. Kharkiv's siege is broken. Its people are not. Dan Rivers, ITV News, Kharkiv.
Well, now let's get an update on what is making the news tonight. The family of PCSO Julia James say they are relieved that justice has been served after 22-year-old Callum Wheeler was convicted of her murder today. Boris Johnson has warned tonight he is prepared to tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol if the EU doesn't agree to changes that would help unlock the political stalemate in Stormont. And Jake Daniels, Britain's first openly gay male professional footballer in more than 30 years, has thanked his club, teammates and family for their support and publicly coming out in an interview tonight. Well, next tonight, if you thought getting a new passport was the end of your travel worries, think again. The boss of Ryanair has warned prices for summer flights are set to soar because of increased demand, and he predicted there would be continued delays at airports. Well, Sejal Carrier is at Gatwick Airport for tonight. Sejal, not the news that many wanted to hear going into the summer, is it?
No, yes. I mean, if you are holding out for a last-minute deal on your summer holiday, you might want to think again. The boss of Ryanair is saying, be warned, ticket prices for planes are set to soar by almost 10% this summer. Demand is soaring for beach holidays in Europe, while the aviation industry has crumpled under the pressure. Most of this is caused by the aftermath of the pandemic. People want to get away after the lifting of global restrictions, while the aviation industry is still thawing out after a deep freeze over the past 2 years. When demand collapsed, companies shed tens of thousands of jobs and grounded planes to ride out the disruption. The industry is still trying to rehire staff and get more planes back in the air. The union representing pilots, though, is saying many of its members are reluctant to return.
I know for some of my colleagues as pilots, there are still companies trying to survive with COVID reductions in pay, whilst asking pilots to work even harder this summer than they did in 2019.
And remember the delays and the disruption during the Easter break? Well, we're being warned to brace ourselves for more of the same during the summer getaway.
All right, Sejal at Gatwick Airport, thank you. To the United States now, where Amber Heard has told a court she feared she would not survive if she remained married to Johnny Depp. She catalogued a series of alleged attacks which she claimed had become routine. Hollywood star Depp denies any abuse and is suing his ex-wife for defamation. Geraint Vincent has more.
Johnny Depp was about to hear a day of testimony which presented him as a violent husband and a drunk. But outside the courtroom, a crowd of adoring fans prompted him to crack a joke.
Those are relatives, all relatives.
There was nothing funny, though, about what his ex-wife had to tell the court. Amber Heard said that physical abuse became almost normal in their marriage, and she often blamed herself.
It's almost more reassuring to take accountability for it than to accept the senseless nature of the violence that you can't change no matter what you do, no matter what I did. No matter what I did, still hit me.
She described how she started making recordings of their confrontations.
Are you crazy? Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going? Oh, really?
Why did you videotape this, Amber? I was afraid. It was scary. It's scary. Scared they wouldn't remember.
The court was also shown images of bruising on Ms. Heard's face, the results, she said, of Mr. Depp's jealous rage, his drinking, or sometimes even hallucinations.
He was talking to people who weren't there. It was terrifying. It was terrifying because, once he smashed a board right next to my face, and it was unclear to me whether he was even mad at me or he was convinced that the guy he said he saw me with was in the room.
Johnny Depp sat just a few yards from his ex-wife as she gave her evidence in the defamation case he has brought against her. He denies ever having hit Ms. Heard. The case continues. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.
A British man has claimed the record for the most ascents of Mount Everest by a foreigner. Kenton Cool reached the summit for the 16th time early yesterday morning. He paid tribute to his Sherpa guides, who he called the superheroes of the mountains, and he still has some way to go to match the world record of 26 ascents held by Sherpa Kami Rita. Ben Chapman has more.
It is a place hardly any of us will ever stand, even once.
Top of Everest, 16 times.
Early on Sunday morning, the British mountaineer Kenton Cool reached the roof of the world again. Now only the native Sherpas of Nepal have seen this view more often.
Good to see you. I'm good. You?
Well, I lost some weight, bit sunburned, got a bad haircut. Other than that, things pretty good.
After greeting his wife for the first time since returning to base camp, he told me his new record hadn't quite sunk in.
It's like a dream come true. I'm like a little boy in a candy shop when it comes to going up and down Everest. I love it. I mean, just look behind me here, the scene at base camp. It's one big community, and it's very special.
Kenton is a professional Everest guide, helping first-time climbers to the summit. His previous clients include the explorer Sir Ranulph Fiennes.
Outside the tent is a huge crevasse,
whom he accompanied to the top in 2009. But still, no trip is routine for Kenton or his wife, Jazz.
It's a little bit out of sight, out of mind, and it's the only way that I can cope, really, is he gets on with what he's doing, I get on with what I'm doing, and at some point he calls me and says that everything's okay.
His achievement is all the more remarkable because he was told he'd never walk again following an accident in his early 20s. He says having humility on the mountain is most important.
This mountain can be a dangerous mistress. If she wants to be mean, she will be extremely mean. So your guard's always got to be up. You've got to be humble. You've got to be respectful of this mountain because it's still a dangerous place despite modern equipment and technology.
Even with those risks, he plans to keep coming back. He may have seen it 16 times, but he says the view from the top never gets old. Ben Chapman, ITV News.
To a heart-stopping moment in Kazakhstan, where quick thinking and absolute bravery saved the life of a 3-year-old girl. Sabit Shontagbayev was on his way to work when he saw this toddler hanging from a top-floor apartment window. He managed to grab her leg, pull the little girl down and miraculously catch her, all while balancing on the ledge below. Well, the hero has been rewarded with a brand new apartment and a television. To another hero now, and a passenger who landed a small aircraft after the pilot collapsed has described his frightening ordeal. Darren Harrison, who has no flying experience, only had seconds to act as a plane went into a dive. Neil Connery takes up the remarkable story of survival.
It was nothing short of miraculous. When this plane's pilot collapsed, it was left to a passenger with no experience to try and land it.
You just witnessed a couple passengers land that plane.
Did you say the passengers landed the airplane?
That's correct.
This was the moment in flight when the control tower realised the emergency.
What was the situation with the pilot?
He is incoherent. He is out.
Now the hero of the hour has spoken of his ordeal.
I realized that we had now gone into a dive at a very fast rate. All I saw when I came up to the front was water out the right window, and I knew it was coming quick. And I grabbed the controls of the airplane and slowly started to pull back on the stick and turn, because I knew if I went up and yanked that the airplane would stall. And I also knew at the rate we were probably going way too fast, and it would rip the wings off the airplane.
Darren Harrison's wife, Brittany, is 7 months pregnant with the couple's first child.
I was just looking, going, I can't die today. Brittany's pregnant, I got a baby on the way. Not today. Today's not my day.
And when he landed, what was his reaction?
I said thank you for everything, and I threw the headset on the dash and said the biggest prayer I've ever said in my life.
With the pilot who fell ill now due to leave hospital, everyone involved is grateful to walk away safe. Neil Connery, ITV News.
There's still plenty to stay with us for, including why an Olympic gold medalist and a former One Direction star were testing the football skills of school kids today.
We've both got kids, so I think we understand, like, in that situation what it does, and that never gets old for me.
Big kid myself and Liam. We were just having fun, and I think that's what it's all about.
And after 24 hours of thunder and lightning in parts, what about the coming days? I'll have the full forecast in a couple of minutes.
Join me and Alex after the break with all that to come before Emmerdale.
Breathe. You feel that? That's your body, baby. Now go! Woo! I'm telling you right now, that's how you find joy. It's in the way you groove, in the way you push, in the way you love. It's in yourself. Listen to your body. Feel your power.
Verrucas can root themselves deep under the surface of the skin. No other gel is more effective at targeting verrucas than Bazooka Extra Strength Treatment Gel, with its powerful keratolytic action. And no other self-freeze treatment is more effective than Bazooka Sub-Zero. It may only take one application. Trust our experts. Choose the UK's #1 selling range and bazooka that verruca.
Effective skincare can be affordable. New Midnight Serum by L'Oréal Paris with antioxidants. When put to the test, more women preferred it to the #1 luxury night serum. It does the work while you sleep. Defy your years, but never deny your age. New Midnight Serum by L'Oréal Paris. You're worth it.
Welcome back. Now, many of us won't have seen it, but there was a total lunar eclipse last night. The moon turned a dramatic red colour, although cloudy skies across the UK prevented many of us getting a look. There were, though, plenty of spectacular thunderstorms. Alex is here, and Alex, the moon was quite a sight for those lucky enough to see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was something rather large blocking it across the UK, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But there certainly were great sightings of it across many parts of Europe, the United States and Africa. In fact, we'll start with this spectacular picture. This was the moon rising over the Temple of Poseidon in Greece, and rightly so, a crowd gathered to see this spectacular sight. In California, this picture captures each stage of the total lunar eclipse. Last one was back in 2019, and the red hue, which is why we call it the super blood moon, happens when sunlight passes through Earth's atmosphere onto the surface of the moon. And then Dresden in Germany, well, the Earth certainly left its mark on the moon with this rather eerie shot, with it casting a shadow. Unfortunately for us here in the UK, we didn't get to see the super blood moon because the cloud was in the way, and we also had a fair number of showers. Those showers were coming through quite thick and fast. In fact, we can take a look at the skies over Dorset from last night, and you can see this natural lightning show is quite spectacular, and it has led to some impacts. In fact, on the A505 in Northern Ireland, we have actually seen flash flooding in the last few hours. You can see this great shot of the Spinnaker Tower in Portsmouth. So all very active in the last 12 hours or so. Hopefully things will start to settle down.
So, Alex, calmer tomorrow, but also things hotting up.
Yes, so I think probably tomorrow we'll see our hottest day of the year yet again. We're talking about temperatures maybe reaching 25, 26 degrees Celsius. Let's take a look.
First thing today will be lovely and warm, and by breakfast time, it could be on the sunny side. Heinz Tomato Ketchup sponsors ITV National Weather.
OK, so let's take a look at the forecast for this week. And it is going to be relatively changeable, certainly some showers around at times. There will be warm spells coming through as well, but you'll notice a drop in temperature towards the end of the week, more like Thursday or Friday. As for the pressure pattern setup, well, it's fairly unsettled out towards the west at the moment. This is what's going to come through tomorrow. It doesn't get too close to the UK, but we're still going to have this warm front come through, and that will produce further outbreaks of rain. And we can't rule out the odd rumble or thunder here and there. But certainly for areas to the east, it's going to be a much finer day. But we'll get to that in just a second. As we head through this evening and overnight, it will start to dry up across the north. So dry for many parts of the British Isles with clear breaks. Temperatures in the north, I suspect, will probably slip down into single figures. Not too chilly, certainly staying in double digits further south. So it's not going to be too chilly a start tomorrow. And for most of us, it is going to be a pretty fine start. Plenty of sunshine from the word go. You can see for a good part of the day, it's staying dry for much of the UK. But this warm front will start to show its hand out towards the west. And at times, I suspect it could be quite heavy. But you don't have to go too far east to pick up drier and brighter conditions. But in the afternoon, I think we'll probably see the cloud bubbling up in places. But temperatures could reach around 25, 26 degrees Celsius. Bear in mind that we'll have higher levels of UV and also high pollen. Wednesday looks like a pretty good day all round. Certainly dry for many parts. More spells of sunshine. A bit cooler, but still respectable at 23 degrees.
Heinz Tomato Ketchup sponsors ITV National Weather.
Yeah, so all looking good for the middle part of the week. But as I say, high levels of UV and high pollen as well.
Sunblock and antihistamine.
You've got it.
Thank you. And finally, so Mo Farah and pop star Liam Payne joined forces today to surprise students and raise vital funds for UNICEF next month. They both play in Soccer Aid, an all-star match which supports humanitarian aid for children across the world. But, as our entertainment reporter Rishi Davda explains, they'll be hoping it doesn't go to penalties.
Back to school for familiar faces as Sir Mo Farah and Liam Payne surprised students with a sporting challenge. The pair put the children through their paces with a football obstacle course which proved more tricky than expected.
How great was it to come and surprise the kids this morning? Just the look on their face. Does that ever get old?
No, and I mean, we've both got kids, so I think we understand, like, in that situation what it does, and that never gets old for me.
Big kid myself and Liam. We were just having fun, and I think that's what it's all about.
It's part of Soccer Aid. While the annual celebrity football match raises millions for UNICEF, school challenges like this one help increase the fundraising total.
You know, as well as, you know, enjoying yourself, we're raising as much money as you can for UNICEF and making it different for kids out there in the world.
We can do anything, even by playing football and showing up. It's like, as much as we can do is to spread some happiness rather than what's currently going on. And then, yeah, of course we're going to get involved.
For the pupils at John Bramston Primary School, this is a day they won't be forgetting.
Oh yeah, that was sick. So I'm going to remember this for a long, long time.
When I saw them, my eyes just like popped out. I was like, whoa.
It's very nice to interact with Mo Farah and Liam Payne and playing with them. And I really enjoyed it.
This year's showdown is a month away, and Team England captain Liam is focused on winning.
The best thing is if we do win, then I'll be the best captain ever. But if we lose, you know,
you have to retire after
there's no if we lose. There is no if we lose.
We're not going to lose.
Sir Mo will be playing at the London Stadium, 10 years after winning 2 gold medals there during the Olympics.
It's going to be emotional as well as being special because 2012 was special as one whole country and everybody watched. And
they know playing football on live TV won't be easy.
You just don't want to show yourself up?
No. Everyone watching you, right?
Yeah, that's it.
But again,
one bad touch.
Don't ruin it.
The duo's morning was useful training before the big game, but it looks like Mo needs a bit more time to practice his penalties. Rishi Davda, ITV News.
And that is all for now. Tom is here with news at 10, but from me and all the evening news team, bye-bye.